I've heard things about you. You and your husband.
Well, I don't know what you have been told. But I assure you, I don't mean anyone any harm.
I don't believe you. Who is that? Who are you?
Wanda. Who's doing this to you, Wanda?
How's it going, everybody? Welcome to my channel Film Flicks and Comics, where we talk all things movies, TV and comics, and of course Marvel and everything related to the Marvel Cinematic Universe. And today, we're going to do a recap of Marvel's WandaVision Episode II. Let's get to it. The second episode kicks off when Wanda and Vision, while sleeping, were jolted away by a scary noise from outside. Though it turns out to be merely just a branch, it frightens Wanda enough to make her twin beds into a single king, taking them into Bewitched-inspired animated intro. The next day, Vision and Wanda are shown preparing for a community talent show. A top-hatted Vision is rehearsing a magical act, asking Wanda to wheel out the Cabinet of Mysteries. As Illusion, Master of Enigma, Vision's planning to make his assistant, Glamour, of course Wanda, disappear. He taps into the wooden cabinet and she vanishes behind a fake wall in the closet. He's worried that the trick looks so fake. Wanda points out that that's the whole point of a magic act. They also emphasize that it's their neighborly duty to participate in the talent show fundraiser for the children. Not that we see any children anywhere in Westview. Vision's fear is an interesting change in his personality. Whatever little we've seen of him showed him to be quite brave and selfless. He sacrificed himself in the Mind Stone to save humanity. It'll be interesting to see how this is explained in the show. Before the talent show, both head out of their separate ways. Wanda is off with Agnes to a meeting of the Westview Wives, led by the matriarch Dottie, while Vision heads to the library to meet the Neighborhood Watch. After Vision leaves to look into joining the Neighborhood Watch, she again hears a strange noise. Heading outside, she sees the toy helicopter in the bushes, branded with a S.W.O.R.D logo. But more strangely, it's colored in vivid red and yellow, the lone spot of color in this black and white world. We will get back to this later. Agnes suddenly appears to distract Wanda from the weird object, lending her rabbit, Senor Scratchy, for the magic show. The two of them go to a meeting led by the talent show organizer Dottie. Agnes explains that Dottie is the influential committee head that is the key to everything in the town, and that it's worth the effort in making a good impression. When the two show up to the gathering, a gathering designed to go over the plans for the upcoming charity show, everything Agnes warned Wanda about comes true. Dottie is a tyrant, mocking and chastising her minions for any perceived failure or slight. At the planning committee, Wanda also meets Geraldine, played by actress Teyonah Parris. For those who've been following their Marvel news, this will be a clue as to WandaVision's true nature. Parrish officially signed on to play Monica Rambeau, a grown-up version of the 11-year-old daughter of Maria Rambeau, who we met in Captain Marvel. She helped the superhero pick her signature red and blue costume colors. This likely means that Geraldine is a fake name and that Monica is hiding her true identity for reasons known. Meanwhile, at the Westview Public Library, Vision attends the Neighborhood Watch meeting. Turns out, it's actually more of a place for men to meet and gossip about each other. He's able to incorporate himself well to the other men, endearing himself with his unintentional humor. But when he takes up someone for an offer of gum, he ends up swallowing it accidentally, literally gumming up the works and jamming his inner machinery. This makes Vision seem very lethargic even though he isn't. But given this is taking place in the sitcom universe, you have to be a lot more forgiving of the logic involved. Back at the talent show meeting, Wanda stays behind to help Dottie clean up. Now alone, Dottie looks her dead in the eye and tells her, "I've heard things about you." Despite Wanda's insistence that she means no harm, their conversation is interrupted by the radio springing to life. A voice calls out to her, asking, "Who's doing this to you?" Dottie breaks the glass she's holding and cuts herself, with the red blood oozing out, standing out against the series' black and white look. Wanda hands her a white napkin to wipe the blood off, and even as she covers her hand, Dottie seems to have already moved on from what just happened. In this week's commercial break, a James Bond type character advertises Swiss-made Strucker watches with the slogan, "He'll make time for you." A close-up on the product reveals, however, an alarming Easter egg, as the watch appears to be made by the villainous Hydra organization. Baron von Strucker, who everyone remembers, is the Hydra creep whose experiments with the Mind Stone gave Wanda her powers back in the end credits of Captain America the Winter Soldier. At the talent show, Vision turns up seeming drunk. The gum seems to be really affecting his capabilities, and a concerned Wanda wonders, what's going on? They had no time to figure it out, as it's time for their performance. Predictably, it goes entirely off the rails. The gummed up Vision forgets himself and starts to do actual magic. He hovers in the air, he lifts a heavy piano with one hand, and he pulls a hat through himself. Wanda is forced to cover for him as the astonished audience looked on, making it look like he's doing fake magic by either tying him to a rope, turning the piano into a sheet of cardboard, and using a hall of mirrors. After the act is done, Wanda identifies Vision's problem and uses her powers to remove the gum. He starts to recover instantly, realizing he's not as funny as when he's not blocked up. Worried they've blown it with the town's residents, they try to make a fast getaway. They're spotted by Dottie, however, and she awards them with the inaugural award for Comedy Performance of the Year. What a surprise. They invite Geraldine on the stage to share the applause, but they still won't tell her how they did the trick though. Another chant of "For the Children" echoes through the audience. Wanda and Vision enters home happy and relieved, just like with the dinner party in WandaVision Episode I. Vision notes they managed to fit in while being themselves, but Wanda adds they needed a few modifications, and it was all for the children. Wanda and Vision repeat in unison. Wanda gets up to make popcorn, but Vision stops her and points at her stomach. Wanda is visibly pregnant. How? Did she just will a pregnancy by saying "for the children"? Is that why the words have been repeated as a sermon throughout WandaVision Episode II? Wanda then wonders, is this really happening? Their conversation is interrupted again by another loud bang outside the front door. Initially, they can't see anything until someone emerges from the manhole. It's someone in a beekeeper's suit, and it has the S.W.O.R.D emblem on its back. Instantaneously, Wanda's expression hardens and she gives an emphatic no. With that one word, the episode suddenly rewinds back to the couple's conversation inside. This time, after he reaffirms her of her reality, they kiss and Vision's face turns into a familiar shade of maroon. All of a sudden, their world begins to fill with color, and the couple is all smiles as their life continues to travel forward into another decade of television. As we pull away from Wanda and Vision's kiss, the voice from the radio repeats, "Who's doing this to you, Wanda?" But alongside the comedy, this episode really ramps up the MCU component's story. What's making the noises in WandaVision's garden? Who's the voice calling out to Wanda through the radio? And who's the beekeeper who appears from the sewers in the last act? Things are beginning to get clearer now. Although Episode 2 seems a tad shorter than the premiere episode, it does give us a clearer view of what's going on. My main takeaway from WandaVision Episode 2 is that Wanda may know what's happening. The ending seems to imply she has the control over the events around her, as I mentioned in my Episode 1 recap. Why she would choose such a regressive setting, though, is beyond me. Does she really want to be a 1960s suburban housewife to escape the reality of Vision's death in the hands of Thanos? We're seeing some recurring elements that hint at more to come. The advertisements in WandaVision feature the same couple in different settings. There are very obvious nods to the MCU. The toaster in the premiere looking like the Iron Man suit and sounding like a bomb made by Stark Industries. The watched advertised in WandaVision Episode II was a Hydra branded one from the Strucker Company, aka Baron von Strucker, one of the men who enhanced Wanda and her brother, Pietro. However, if the ads are within the WandaVision show, can Wanda see them and remember her life as an Avenger? It's going to be a very long wait till next week's episode to get all these things answered. At the climax of Episode 2, Wanda and Vision are startled by a manhole cover sliding back and a shadowy beekeeper climbing out. Comics fans may see a similarity to the helmeted uniforms worn by the underlings of the evil Advanced Idea Mechanics, or AIM, a cabal rogue of scientists and offshoot of Hydra. On screen, AIM was the main threat in Iron Man 3. Or maybe, it's not so literal. The beekeeper could be another reference to being enclosed and observed in a constructed space. Whatever's happening to Wanda and Vision, the people observing use a logo depicting a sword in a circle. There's an organization called S.W.O.R.D, as we discussed in the comics, that complements S.H.I.E.L.D's Earthbound activities by taking care of extraterrestrial threats. Given the presence of Geraldine, reported to be a grown-up version of the young Monica Rambeau seen encountering aliens in Captain Marvel, WandaVision could take a turn for the extraterrestrial. Or as Vision puts it, my wife and her flying saucers. However, it's unclear why the downed helicopter in Episode 2 is painted in Iron Man's signature red and yellow. I guess we'll all find out when the next episode comes to our way next week. Thank you guys for watching my video, and we're all looking forward to Episode 3. If you liked the video, please smash that like button and don't forget to subscribe. Thank you again until the next video.